Hello, and welcome to a special edition of Up Close on METV. I'm Charles Clapsaddle, Station Manager for Manatee Educational Television, and we're very pleased to have with us today a very special person in this community, Ben Jordan, the Vice President of the Parish Civic Association. Ben, thank you so much for joining us today. Parish is a wonderful community, and we're very happy to have somebody of your caliber here today to talk about all the great things that are going on in Parish and to talk about some special events that are coming up.
Well, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. We also appreciate everything METV has done for the Parish community.
Well, before we begin and get into some of the great things that are happening in Parish, tell us a little bit about Parish and you know, the community itself and what it has to offer.
Parish was at one time one of the larger communities in Manatee County. It was established back in the late 1800s, and primarily it was agriculture. The coming of the railroad and having a station there in Parish is what really put Parish on the map. Lamar Parish's grandfather actually went to the state legislature and donated the land, so we would be sure to have a railroad station there. Parish was originally called Oak Hill, and when the train came through, it turns out there was another station, another city that was called Oak Hill that had a train station. So the railroad said, well, we can't have two Oak Hills, so they had to change the name. So since Lamar's grandfather was involved in it, they named the town Parish, and that's how Parish got started. It was always agriculture. Back in the early 1900s, it was a thriving thing. It had 5 doctors and 3 blacksmiths and everything like that. The main drag along the corner, the 62 and 301, there was a lot of stores, people lived over it and everything like that. As time went on and as 41 was completed, Parish just sort of slowly went downhill, and it's really still very, very agriculture, a lot of farms, a lot of things like that out there. But one of the things we're trying to do is to restore some of the commercial piece into Parish. Recently, because of the boom in housing, Parish has really taken off with subdivisions. And whereas the population of Parish 20 years ago was something like 5,000, and the latest census, the population is closer to 20,000. So we've just seen explosive growth. In fact, Parish is one of the fastest growing areas in Manatee County. It's
a beautiful area. I mean, with rich trees and it's just well kept, and it's a beautiful, beautiful area. And that history really is a big part of the Parish heritage, correct?
It really is. That's one thing that Parish has that a lot of other places in Manatee County don't, and that's a history. And people are friendly, people remember how things were. I remember when I first came here 10 years ago and I was driving down Old Tampa Road and I was looking for a golf course, and I was where I was headed. But as I went down Old Tampa Road with the trees coming over the road and everything like that, I said, please, Lord, let this be a golf course I can like, because I love this drive down Old Tampa Road. So
and it's absolutely beautiful, and it's maintained that way as well. I mean, people really believe in maintaining that, one would say, kind of an old Florida feel to it.
Yeah, people talk about that when we had all this housing development, the one thing that people wanted to do was to try to do everything we could to maintain as much of the rural character and look of Parish as we possibly could.
And one of the things that's really evident about that is the restoration of the old schoolhouse, which for many, many years kind of was in a state of disrepair. But, you know, thanks to your efforts and the Parish Civic Association's effort, it's now a remarkable facility. And tell us a little bit about the evolution of that.
The old schoolhouse was built back in the 1920s, and it was a grammar school. It had a lunchroom beside it, and it was very much in vogue for schools. It closed in the 50s, and it just sort of sat there. Rural Health Clinic with Mickey Prochet came in and worked with the school board to use it to establish rural health. So that building actually is what got rural health started. And then the Civic Association used the auditorium room for meetings, and we had people that taught guitar lessons, and we had a Boy Scout group. So it was there was nowhere else in parish other than the schools that people could have places for meetings. So then when rural health moved out and the building really got closed down because it was a fire hazard, and it just sort of sat there, and the school board really would have liked to tear it down because the property was more valuable than the building. And the Civic Association went to the county and said, if you guys will acquire this from the school board and figure out a way to renovate it, then we'll figure out a way to operate it. Thinking that they would be a long time before they came up with the money. Well, they came up with the money, they got it from the school board, and they came back to us and said, okay, we're ready to start renovation. How are you going to operate this thing? So the Civic Association worked to establish a group called the Parish Foundation. And the Parish Foundation was set up as a 501c3, and we have a board, and its primary purpose was to get the Y started in parish. We had done a survey in the Parish Village News a couple of years before and asked people what they wanted, and they needed after schools, they wanted a place to meet, they wanted to have a place to learn how to play games, crafts, things like this. And when you read everything people wanted, it just screamed YMCA. So we went to the Y and we said, okay, we would like to have a branch in parish. And their first comment is, where's parish? So we had to sort of say, okay, this is where parish is. And we got Sean Allison, who's president of the Y, came out. And the foundation leased the building from the county and then turned around and had an operating agreement with the Y. This is the second year of that agreement. The anniversary was in October, the grand opening was. When we had the grand opening, we opened it up to people that had gone to school there, and it was amazing how many people that live in the community still had actually gone to school there, and people were telling stories. The building is just beautiful. The old floors are like just unbelievable. We've maintained one room like it was as a school room. It's still got the old wooden lockers in the back, and we use the old chalkboard up at the front, and that's a community room. Anybody can come in there and reserve that room, and there's homeowners associations, there's people that play cards in there, so it's really worked out well. The Y in 2 years has over 1,000 members.
It's remarkable.
It is. You can go out there on some days. When I go in there, there's like 10 treadmill machines, and you've got to wait to get on the treadmill. There's so many people doing it. There's some great stories out there of people that really have gotten back control of their life through the Y. One lady wanted to lose some weight and really got into the whole thing, and she tells just a great story of how everybody supported her and everything like that. So it's made a lot of difference to the lives in parish.
And it's a real community asset, and it shows a lot of community pride because people really took to it and took advantage of having a Y within their community to take advantage of all the many things the Y has to offer. And I must say, the architectural reconstruction of the building is just absolutely stunning. And I would encourage people, if you haven't been to parish and seen the schoolhouse, it's a wonderful place to visit.
Yeah, it's the county did an amazing job on that. The county has a person that worked for them named Al Marinick, and he served as the project director on doing it. And when I first met Al, I went out to the schoolhouse. This was before they even started doing any demolition. And I was calling for him, and I heard this little voice say, "Here I am, here I am." It turns out he was actually up under the building because he wanted to understand how the building was built and everything like that. He maintained everything. He kept all of like the old transoms that were above the doors. He maintained all that. It's just a beautiful building. Anybody that walks in there, it's just unbelievable.
And it's really become that community asset because you've had several town hall meetings, you've had Congressman Buchanan there, the county there. Tell us about how the community flocks to events like that.
Well, one of the things about parish is that we're a little bit far out and people work, so it's sort of hard for them to get down to the county to meet the commissioners.
Exactly.
So one of the things that the Civic Association does is we'll have meetings, and we invited the commissioners out. And usually we just had one commissioner come out and and talked with us. About 2 years ago, we decided, why don't we just have a county commissioner meeting out here? So we did, and they came out, and we had a barbecue dinner before, and then we just went through a meeting, and they were out there. People could talk to them. One of the things we talked about then was things we need in parish, and one of the things we discussed was a library, and that led to the library thing. But Congressman Buchanan has had 2 town hall meetings out there. We've had weddings. It's just unbelievable. There's a kids zone. And the kids zone, the only way the kids can be over at the kids zone is if their parents are in there either working out or attending a meeting or something like that. I regularly go over to the kids zone, and there'd be 40 or 50 kids in that thing. Now, these are kids between 0 and 6, so these are really young kids that are there. But it says their parents are involved in it, kind of thing.
And you know, it speaks to a larger issue too about community involvement. Parish does have that same rich history of people that are involved in their community, who want their community to succeed and to look good and be part of a larger fabric of life. Another thing that you've done, and in the past, and I must mention this, is that you've sponsored a series of candidate forums in the past. And one of them we've had the opportunity to tape for broadcast on METV. And tell us about that. It was actually on the train tracks.
Yeah, at the last election cycle, the commissioner in our district was running, and then an at-large commissioner was running. And so the Civic Association came up with the idea of having a candidate forum. And so we talked about how to do it, and we said, you know, we need to really go back and make this like things used to be. So we went to the Railroad Museum that operates the train there, and we asked them, would they help us out? And they said, sure. So they brought up an old flat car, and we had bunting all over it, and we called it Pizza and Politics in Parish. And we served free pizza. Now, like a lot of places, if you serve free food, people are going to turn out in Parish. And we had a huge crowd. We had a big tent we put up. It was really fun, and people were really excited about having that out there in Parish. And you guys were great to come and tape it, and we just had a lot of fun with it.
I must tell you that, I mean, that really speaks well to the fabric of a community when you can have an event like that, and it was a unique, one-of-a-kind type of thing, and hopefully maybe in the future you'll have a few more of them.
Yeah, there's already been questions about, okay, now you got the election cycle up and our commissioner's running again, are we going to do another? And we probably will.
It was a wonderful experience, and it was something from another period, another time, but with all the modern touches.
Yeah, it really was.
But one of the things you mentioned was the parish community is involved and it's engaged in things. And one of the things that they had mentioned was the importance of having a library. Now, just recently, that came to fruition. Tell us about that, because you were there actually at the opening of?
Yes. The library is actually it's called the Rocky Bluff Library, and it's in Ellington, but we look at it as the parish library.
Correct.
It was in a little strip center. It was very small. We did some research, and per square foot, it was the busiest library in all of the county. So when we had the commissioners all out there, one of the things that we asked was that they try to work to get us a larger library. There was nowhere for the teens to get together.
Right.
There was no meeting place. We only had like 4 computer stations, and so people were lined up and signed in and waiting to get on the computer and everything. We had a wonderful Friends of the Library group that got involved.
Exactly.
And so what happened, the county, and I have to give credit to Ed Hunsinger and the commissioners, they looked at the lease payments they were making on the current library, and a large building that was called Pizza and Pipes was out there, and it was empty. And so they were able to acquire it for a payment stream that was going to be a little bit less than what their lease payments were, and so they put all this together. It just opened up this week. It is unbelievable. It is just, it's beautiful. People were out there. The funny thing that I saw that was really great is when they opened it up for the grand opening, the line to get a new library card went all the way out the door. So a lot of people that hadn't used the library are going to start to use it now. So it's just fantastic. And
it adds to that community flavor. And I think, as part of one of the presentations, nothing says community like having a library.
Right. That's a big key point. That library is really unique because it's got beautiful areas behind it that are wetlands. And one of the things they're doing is cleaning that up. So we hope that we're able to do something out there for meetings meetings, and that's a good place to have a wedding as well, kind of thing. So it's really a unique facility for the county.
Well, I'll echo your comments. You know, the county did a wonderful job, and hats off to all of the people involved, Mr. Hunsaker and the County Commission, for taking advantage of taking a storefront and renovating it into such a place that it's really a community asset.
Yeah.
However, one of the big things that we want to talk about, and I want to give you all the time that you can to talk about this, is there's a big event coming up. And, you know, parish is kind of always in the forefront of these events. You have your Parish Heritage Days, which is coming up in what time of year?
March 10th.
And tell us, first of all, about Parish Heritage Days.
Well, like a lot of communities here in Manatee County, and I guess in Florida, they had a Heritage Day, and it had been going on for 20-something years. And when I moved here about 10 years ago, when we would go to Heritage Day, they would have a few floats and a few things going on, and they end up at the old schoolhouse then in the parking lot. And they may have somebody selling hot dogs or something like that. They would have a band, and they would play. And it was just a fun time to get out. I can remember bales of hay being around that you could sit on and listen to the band and everything. And then over time, as parish grew and more people got involved, the parade grew. And so we had to have a bigger staging area. So we just reversed the path of the parade, and we started staging it up at the fire department. And it goes down 121st Avenue and winds around and ends up at the Railroad Museum. So you'll see anybody can be in the parade, and it's not really a formal kind of thing. I remember 2 years ago, there was a little kid walking down, and he had his pet goat on a rope, and he was going down, and little kids were coming up to pet the goat, kind of thing. I remember somebody on a riding lawnmower being in the parade. We see the churches will have floats. It's just a fun time. Sometimes there'll be more people in the parade than the people watching the parade, kind of thing.
But you know, you would still encourage people to find out some information if they want to participate, or they want to put something in the parade itself during Heritage Days. That would be fine, right?
Oh, sure. Anybody can be in it, and they all say, where do we sign up? And the answer is, you just show up at the fire department, and we'll stage you into it, and you're ready to go.
And see, that's a great thing about parish thing, is that friendly atmosphere, open atmosphere, bringing people and encouraging it. Now, Heritage Day is a wonderful thing, and it's one of those kind of really old Florida type of things. But you've added this year kind of a wrinkle to this, and it's a big wrinkle, if I must say so. And tell us what's going to happen.
Well, about 2 years ago, when we ended up with the parade over at the Railroad Museum, we started saying, what else could we do? Because people would say, okay, we come over here, it's fun, we've all gathered for the parade, but the parade's over, now what do we do? So we had bounce houses a couple of years, and then we allowed some vendors in, and people were there, but there just wasn't enough to do. So at the same time, we came up and said, okay, the Parish Foundation would like to start to raise funds to have a grant fund. Several years ago, there was a charitable foundation in River Wilderness, and every year they would have a golf tournament and a dance and a silent auction, and they would raise $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, and then they would pass that out in grants to the charitable organizations that serve parish. But that was a lot of work, and so in time they just sort of have ceased to operate. So the foundation, once we got the Y up and running, the board decided, okay, we'd like to come in and fill that gap. So the foundation sat down with the Civic Association and said, how can we work together? And so the Civic Association says, why don't we have a fundraiser after the Heritage Day Parade? Because we've got all these people here. And so we looked and looked and looked, and in Lakewood Ranch they have a wine tasting, but that wasn't really parish. We talked about swamp cabbage, but we said we're not really sure that that's a big thing that you could do, so we settled on a chili cook-off. So
well, when you say settled for a chili cook-off, the chili cook-off is a big event. I mean, they have them all over the country, and they're big events, and you're planning on some big things to happen for this chili cook-off.
We want this to become an annual event. You're right, chili cook-offs are huge. When you go onto the internet and you Google chili cook-offs, you won't believe it. I mean, there's actually national associations and everything like this. We want it to be a fun time, but we really want to be an actual good chili cook-off with rules. We have rules about how you cook and everything. Part of the fun is the teams coming in to cook.
Right.
They get there early in the morning. They have to cook all their chili, so they're not fixing it at home and bringing it in crock pots. They have to fix it all there on site. We have judging. Tickets will be, the event will start right after the Heritage Day Parade at about 11, and it'll be open to 3. Tickets are $5 to get in. Kids 12 and under get in free. Everybody would come. There's going to be entertainment. There's going to be pony rides for the kids. There's going to be all kinds of kids events and everything like that.
So it's family oriented.
It is very family oriented.
With music and enjoyment for everyone.
And some
different
good chili.
music throughout the day and all of those things. But the chili cook-off, let's say that there's an organization or a business or schools or different groups, and if they want to enter and field a team, how do they do that?
That's a great question. It's very, very easy to do, but I think it's a wonderful opportunity for businesses to introduce themselves to a whole lot of new potential customers. All they have to do is they can go onto the website, parishchili.com.
And we're going to have that information up on the screen.
Okay, and just go onto there, and there's an application to fill in a team. It's very, very easy to do. We will be having meetings with all the team participants. What you'll do is you'll have a 12 by 12 piece of land that you'll be set aside on. You bring in a tent, you bring in your paraphernalia you're going to cook your chili in, and you cook. And then the judges go to work. When the event opens up with everybody will come through, and one of the prizes is the People's Choice Award. So,
well, and you have certainly, and I'm looking at the brochure here. We can just take a look at this for a moment. On here is this thing about the Parish Chili Cook-Off, and the details about going to www.parishchili.com. You can find all of this. But you're going to have a winner, the first runner-up, a second runner-up, the Spirit Award. That's the team who has the most fundraising award, team who sells the most tickets, the People's Choice Award, which I think a lot of teams will be vying for, and the Showmanship Award. So the more teams that you have and the more participants, it's just going to be a big fun event for everybody.
It really will. It's a wonderful, fun day, and like you said, it's for the whole family. It's a good way to come out and meet your neighbors and support your community, because all proceeds are going to go to the grant fund for the Parish Foundation, and so it will all go back to the small charitable organizations that's serving the parish people.
And I think that's really important, because the proceeds will stay in the community and let the community grow and prosper and develop in ways that is good for the community.
Yeah.
But so after the parade, which kicks off at what time?
It kicks off around 9:30 in the morning.
9:30 in the morning, the parade will come. It'll culminate at the area by the Train Museum. The cook-off participants will be there. They'll start getting underway, and then doors open or gates open for the chili participants at what time?
Well, the people that are going to be on the teams, it opens up at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Oh boy!
So they're out there at 6 o'clock in the morning cooking their chili and doing whatever else they're going to be doing when you cook chili. The people will come over after the parade. It'll open up about 10:30. People will come in. They'll do their tickets. They can go around and sample the chili. They can enjoy the day and have a good time. It'll be over around 3 o'clock.
And what a great way for organizations too, because I would imagine that you're looking for some sponsorship opportunities as well from organizations that might want to help promote this.
Yes, we have sponsorships available. We're going to be doing some public service announcements. We'll have sponsors' logos on there. We're working with FDOT to get permission to put a banner up across 301 to make a big deal out of it. So we really want it to be a way to get our sponsors' name out there, so that people know these are the people that really support what we're trying to do.
Well, I'm sure throughout the parish and throughout Manatee County, you're going to get a lot of participants, because it's going to be a fun family day type of thing, especially with music and fun and games for everyone. And it's going to be a wonderful thing. But if we can, I want to go back to the chili cook-off again. So you're going to have judging, and we don't want to give away the names of the judges just yet, because I'm sure we want to keep that a little bit to yourself. But there'll be some people that are known throughout the community that'll be sampling all of these many chilies throughout the day, and then these awards will go out at about 3 o'clock in the
Yeah,
afternoon?
about 2:30 we'll have the awards out
great.
and have all the prizes out and let people know who makes the best chili in Parish.
And you know, and I want to go back to anybody can really enter.
Oh, yeah.
So if you figure, if you're sitting at home and you're saying, well, you know, I make a pretty good chili, you can field your own team. You don't have to be a restaurant, even though restaurants are encouraged, I suppose.
Yeah, anybody can come and enter. It's open to everybody. If you've got some neighbors, we had a guy that called and he's got in a subdivision and his homeowners group wanted to have a team. We said, great, come
Absolutely.
on down kind of thing. So we've got teams from all over, all different groups. But if you've got 2 or 3 friends and you think you can cook some good chili, come on in and join into this thing. It can be a lot of fun.
And it really can be, because everybody, I think, fancies themselves like, well, I make a pretty good chili. Or, you know, I can do this kind of chili. And it's really open to a lot of different people. And I would encourage people to come to, you know, this event. One, to see what a beautiful community parish is. 2, to have the opportunity to see a great parade, a great Heritage Day parade, to even participate in that if possible, and then to spend the afternoon at a wonderful chili cook-off, you know, and sample what we hope some really unique chili. You know?
Yeah, I think we'll do that. Come out and join in the spirit of Parish. Parish is a very, very friendly place. It's very relaxed. It's a good way to get out and just be part of the community and to have a good time with the whole family.
Well, Ben, we're going to have some information up on the screen about how people can sign up, and we'll be running some public service announcements about this because it is a wonderful community. But I do want to take a moment to thank you very much for kind of your leadership with the Parish Civic Association and also for the great things that you do for your community. And we would invite you back probably at a later time, sometime down the road, where we can talk about some other great things that are happening in Parish and about the Community Foundation and what you're doing.
Great. Appreciate it very much. Thank you.
And thank you for joining us on this special edition of Up Close on METV. If you want to find out additional information about the Parish Heritage Days or the Chili Cook-Off, please find out through the information on your screen. And we'll see you again next time on Up Close on METV.